Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Erin and today we are doing my April wrap-up video. We are in May now. I know it seems incredibly impossible that we are entering May, the month of May. I feel like 2021 had just started and now it's going by really fast. It's kind of freaking me out. I actually had a really good reading month in April. I read quite a bit. I think I read 11 or 12 books. I don't remember, 11 or 12. I'll count in a second. But I had quite a few 5 stars and quite a few 3 stars. So some of the books were really great, and since some of the books were just kind of average to me, they were just kind of middle of the road, you know? I have a feeling that some of these ratings might upset a few people because I did include some books that are very popular that I didn't love. So I guess we'll see. Sorry about not having a video up Monday. My Wi-Fi was down. It was incredibly annoying the whole weekend to go without Wi-Fi. We got it fixed. Should be a-okay now. But let's get into it. I think we're going to start with my only 2-star rated book because I don't want to talk about it too much because yeah, let's start with that. So, my only 2-star rated book is The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. I have a full video review of this one on my channel, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. This book I did not like it. Oh my god. It was so boring. It was so annoying. The main character, I can't stand her, okay? I literally hate the main character. I thought the plot would have been good if it had been done a different way. Like I said in my video, I think this had the elements that I really like. I mean, they're in a sanatorium turned hotel. They get trapped by a huge storm. There's murder happening. Like, come on. This is like an ideal isolation plot, you know? And it just didn't quite do it for me. I really did not like this one. Thankfully, this was probably the worst book I read in April, and I didn't have as bad of feelings towards any other book except for this one. So that's a positive. You know, I read a dud. This was the first book I read in April as well, which is just kind of like super annoying, but it didn't set the tone for the rest of the month. This was the only really awful book that I read, thank goodness. But yeah, I don't think this is worth your time. I don't think it's worth your money. No. If you already have it, I mean, you might as well read it and let me know what you think. But this is no. This is not it, okay? Not it. Did not enjoy. Would not recommend. Next up is our 3-star books, and we are going to start this category off by talking about White Pines by Gemma Amor. You guys know I am a big fan of Dear Laura by Gemma Amor, so I was very excited to read more from her and just kind of see what else she writes and just kind of, oh, bless you, my dog just sneezed. And just kind of explore her writing a little bit more and see, you know, see what she had to offer. As someone who loved Dear Laura so much, I just didn't get this as much. This story is about a woman who gets dumped by her husband. He's calling it quits. She kind of just runs away and goes to stay at the house that she has inherited from her grandmother. And from then on, things take a wild, crazy, weird route, okay? This is described as a cosmic, folk, Celtic, cult fantasy horror novel. Yeah, if you like cosmic horror, you're probably gonna love this. I've come to the conclusion that I am just not a cosmic horror kind of person. I haven't read anything that really struck a chord with me. I kind of feel bored and disinterested when I read cosmic horror. I think it goes back to the whole, I like books that are realistic, and cosmic horror is pretty much the opposite of realistic to me. It just seems so far-fetched that I can't imagine it ever happening, and that irritates me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been reading the right stuff. If you have a recommendation for cosmic horror that I should read, please let me know, because I'm willing to try it again. I just haven't found anything that really tickles my fancy, you know? This is a very interesting book. From the moment it started, I was intrigued. I didn't know where it was going. I was kind of like, you know, questioning things. Who are these people? What are they doing? Who's trustworthy? Who's not? You know. As the book progressed, I kind of just wanted it to end because I was getting a little confused, and I just was like, I don't get this. It doesn't vibe with me. I think if you love cosmic horror, if you like fantasy type horror, because this is not really horror to me. It's not very scary. It's not creepy. It's just kind of weird. So if you like more weird horror and not scary, creepy horror, I think this is probably something you'd enjoy. But for me, it just didn't hit the way I wanted it to. I still love Dear Laura, so I will continue to read more of Gemma's work because I liked Dear Laura so much that I bet that I will find something else I like just as much. Next up, we have The Troop by Nick Cutter, and this is a book that I have seen so many people talk about on Bookstagram, on BookTube. People love this book, and I decided to give it a go, knowing that I probably wasn't going to like it because of the plot. I knew it wasn't going to be for me, and I was correct. I did not really enjoy this story. Yeah, it's about this guy named Tim. He takes these teenage boys, I think they're like 14, on a camping trip. It happens every year, and the boys are basically this group of very different kids. They're not very similar. You probably wouldn't see them hanging out at school. They're from very different social circles, but they all kind of come together for this camping trip. And on this particular camping trip, a surprise guest shows up, and he has a very voracious appetite. He's very, very hungry, and that's all I'm gonna tell you because, you know, plot, I don't want to give too much away. Yeah, this is a contagion horror story. This is about, you know, a contagion and like experimentations and stuff like that, and that's just not something I like. I'm not a contagion kind of person. Like pandemic stories, especially now, I just don't want to read. It's just not my kind of thing. I don't really get it. You know, everyone has their thing. That kind of thing's not for me. This book is also very gross and like gory and graphic, so if you don't like that, this is probably not for you. It didn't bother me, honestly. The grossness isn't really why I disliked this story. It's more because there is one scene, I won't tell too much about it, but there is a turtle scene, a scene with a turtle, okay? Turtles are my favorite animal, okay? Besides dogs, obviously. But turtles are my favorite animal. I love turtles, okay? I love turtles. Disgusting. I hated it. I hated every second of it. I wanted to quit reading because I didn't want to read anymore. It's the same way I felt about Cannibal Holocaust. If you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. I couldn't get past the turtle scene either. It made me very, very upset. I don't like animal scenes in horror. I don't think they're very necessary. I don't really get it. I know that it's just supposed to be like shocking and horrifying, which, you know, it does the job, but I just don't think that they're necessary. And so reading one about a turtle just kind of put me off. I didn't want to keep reading, honestly. I didn't like it. And I didn't like any of the characters. The boys are super freaking annoying. Didn't like any of them. They're 14, so I just can't connect to them. I'm a 26-year-old woman, not a 14-year-old boy. So it was just a little hard for me to like connect to any of the characters. They were all pretty crappy in their own way. I didn't really care for any of them. And the writing style wasn't really my favorite. I don't know, I just couldn't like get into this book. I just didn't get why everyone was so obsessed with it. I don't know. I just don't get it. It's not for me. Not my cup of tea. I'm sure that there are people that like love this kind of thing. Not for me personally. But it also reminded me of a mix between Lord of the Flies and Cabin Fever. So if you like that kind of thing, yeah, that's pretty much what it reminded me of. I don't know. Just wasn't my thing. Don't really get why so many people love it, but that's just my opinion. I honestly was gonna rate it a 2-star, but I didn't hate it as much as like I hated the Sanatorium. I thought it was just average and a fine, okay book, but just not personally my taste. Next up we have If I Disappear by Eliza Jane Brazier or Brazier? Brazier? I'm not really sure, sorry. Ugh. I heard a lot of people talking about this book, and honestly, I'm gonna be super honest with you guys. I really just wanted to read it because I really like the cover. I think the cover is stunning. I think the cover is beautiful. It caught my attention from the get-go. It made me want to read it immediately. I just thought it was so pretty. That's pretty much why I decided to read it, because I just really like the cover. So this story is about Sarah, who's obsessed with this true crime podcast, and when the podcaster goes radio silent and she doesn't hear from her anymore, there are no new episodes, no nothing, Sarah thinks that something bad has happened to her and that Sarah is going to follow these clues and basically find out what happened to her. She follows her to her hometown and just basically tries to find clues and pick pieces together and just kind of figure out what happened to Rachel, who is the podcaster. This story is very weird to me, okay? From the beginning, I was really intrigued because I do love true crime podcasts, and I just thought it was an interesting kind of plot and something I hadn't seen before. The way it's written is very strange. Sarah is speaking directly to Rachel. It's almost like you are supposed to be reading like a diary almost, but it's not a diary. It's just how it's written, as if Sarah is speaking to Rachel. And that threw me for a loop. I just like had to really get in the groove of reading like that because it threw me off at first. Second, I just couldn't tell where this story was going. It was so weird. I just felt very odd while reading it. I just had no idea where it was going. I didn't get it. Sarah's a very weird main character. She's just so obsessive, and I don't know, I had a hard time believing her. She was very unreliable. I couldn't tell if she was telling me the truth or if she was lying or imagining things, and it was just like I was getting so lost. I had no idea what was going on. It was intriguing, don't get me wrong. I did want to know where the story was going and what was happening, but it was also frustrating because I didn't know what was happening most of the time. The ending I didn't like. I thought the ending was weird. Well, technically there were like 2 endings. There was like the first ending and then there was like a second ending. And I thought the second ending could have been really interesting if the author hadn't done the first ending. Okay, there's like two endings, right? I know it doesn't make sense, but there's like an ending and then you're like, wait, what? And then there's an ending. You know what I'm saying? The first ending I think could have been fine. I think the second ending could have been fine if they were on their own. I think putting them together was just a very weird way to go about it. I just didn't understand why they were both there. It just felt very odd. I don't know. I would have been happier with just that one or this one happening. They both didn't have to like occur for me to have enjoyed it more. I don't know. It was a weird book. I don't know how to explain it. It was just so strange. I just felt so strange while reading it. I don't know. It was a weird experience. It wasn't bad. I would definitely read more by this author, but it just was it was strange. I don't know. Next up and last in the 3-star category is Scanlines by Todd Kiesling. I'm not going to go too much into this one as well because I just did a video. On this one, so you can go find out more about it in there. This is about a group of friends who decide to download porn one day, and instead of downloading porn, they end up downloading this video which graphically shows a man committing suicide, and then they are mentally and physically haunted by this video. Like I said in my review, I just didn't feel connected to this book. It didn't make me scared. It didn't make me feel unnerved. It didn't make me feel anything. I didn't have any feelings. I felt very numb almost while reading it. It was just like I was just reading to read almost, like just flipping pages to flip pages. There was no need or want to figure out what was going on. It was more just like I was reading because I had to, which is always a feeling that I hate. I do think this message of the story is very meaningful about depression and suicide. I really like that. I just wish I had been able to connect with it while I was reading it and not just after the fact and after finding out what the author's intentions with this story was. So I don't know. Overall, this was just kind of a middle of the road read for me. I know a lot of people love this. I highly recommend checking this out if you like tech horror, you like the 90s, that kind of thing. I think this will be right up your alley. It just wasn't for me. Next up is our 4-star category. We have one book, and that is Dead Lake by Darcy Coates. You guys know I love Darcy Coates. I'm trying to read all of her books eventually because I just love her writing so much. I was very excited to read this one because it sounded very creepy and spooky, and it has that whole isolation thing that I've been really into lately. I don't really know why, but I've just really been into like isolation horror, and this really just kind of hit the mark for me. So this is about Sam, who has to do an art show, and she's kind of struggling with creating art lately because of some things that have been happening in her life recently, and she's just kind of lost her, you know, mojo basically. She just hasn't felt like creating. So her uncle lends her his lakeside cabin, says, hey, take a break, chill out, draw, paint, you know, get your mojo back. There's beautiful scenery. You're gonna be fine. Let nature kind of help you. Sam's very excited because, you know, she only has so much time before this deadline occurs. And the first night there, she encounters this strange man on the dock of the lake, and there's supposed to be no one around this lake. Her uncle said that no one's really there. There's really not supposed to be anyone there. And so he just keeps popping up, and there's something very strange going on around this lake. I really enjoyed this one. This is actually more of a novella in my opinion because it does seem pretty thick. So this is actually where Dead Lake ends right here. This is the entire Dead Lake story, and then the rest of this book are short stories that are included in this one. I actually haven't read all the short stories yet because I got sidetracked and was reading other things. I'm excited to though because I love short stories. So yeah, this is actually more of a novella in my opinion, so it was interesting to read something a little shorter from her. I do think if you don't like Darcy Coates' writing, you're probably not going to like this because it's a very typical story for her. I feel like it has all the similar elements that she usually has, and it's just so her writing. So if you're not a fan of Darcy, I don't think you'll like this, but like I said, Darcy Coates is my comfort horror. She just writes this cozy, beautiful, fun, scary stories that I really enjoy. I don't know. I know it makes no sense. Some people probably don't think her writing is scary enough, which I completely understand. But for me, that's why it's like my comfort horror, because it's just so cozy. I know, very weird. Anyways, I did enjoy this one. I think my biggest downside was that it was just so short. Having something so short was just like, but I needed more. I could have done with more. Give me more. Like, I need it. Like, don't stop now, please. So I think that was like the biggest downside for me, but I actually did find this one pretty creepy. I think if you don't typically find her stuff creepy, this one might be more up your alley because it's, I don't know, it's a little bit more spooky in my opinion, but I overall really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun and it was a really quick read. Next up, we move to my 4.5 rated books. We only have one. That is The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. I did a full review on this one as well, so I'm not going to go too much into this one. I know a lot of people hate this book. A lot of people have been giving it negative reviews. I know. I don't understand why I liked it so much because, to be fair, I think it could have been scarier, but there was just something about the story that I really thoroughly enjoyed so much. It's supposed to be Midsummer meets the Blair Witch Project, which I think is really perfect to describe it. It just suits those two so much. I thought it was really fun. Like I said, I think the highlight of this is the story and the mystery behind the Lost Village, not really the creepy, spooky factor. It's more just the idea of everything and trying to find answers. That's what kept me interested and intrigued. The spook factor, I think, was lacking pretty severely with this, which is why it's a 4.5 and not a 5, which you're probably like, why didn't you give it a 4? But I don't know, I just couldn't take it down a whole point for that because I really did enjoy it. And I didn't feel super disappointed by the lack of scariness. Like I said in my video, it was a little sad, but I'm so used to being disappointed by the scary factor nowadays that it doesn't even faze me. So that's why I knocked it off just like a point, like a half point, and not a full point. It's just I couldn't make myself give this a 4 because I really did enjoy it and I really liked it. I know a lot of people don't. Take this with a grain of salt because I haven't seen as many positive reviews as I have negative reviews, so unsure how that is gonna go. So, you know, maybe read more reviews, watch my full video to kind of get a feel for more of the story, and I go into way more detail, but I liked it. I thought it was a fun read, you know? I don't know. I liked the history, I liked the knowledge, I liked the mystery behind everything. I thought it was fun. Next up, we are in the 5-star category, and I am so excited to talk about these books because I had so much fun reading these. But the first one we're going to talk about is The Dinner Guest by B.P. Walter. I was actually given an ARC through NetGalley for this one to read, and oh my gosh, I loved it so much. So this is a thriller whodunit type of story, and this is about Charlie and his husband Matthew and their son Titus, and they're basically this perfect picturesque kind of family. Charlie is an Instagrammer. He posts these gorgeous photos of his little family and people love them and they're just doing very well. They have Titus together and Titus loves both of them so much and they're just a really great family until Rachel shows up. Rachel is new in town and she runs into the family and Matthew invites her to his book club. Charlie is slightly annoyed by this because he's like, we don't even know this girl, why are you just inviting her? Matthew's like, hey, let's be nice to her. And then one day, which is basically how the story starts out because it's alternating between the past and the present. So one night, Rachel, Matthew, Charlie, and Titus are all in the same room, but one ends up dead. And that's all I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna leave it at that. This was so much fun. I swear. This had me freaking out. I was looking at my boyfriend being like, let me read this to you and let me ask you if you think it's this person as well. I was literally giving him a play-by-play. I was like, please let me know if I'm missing something because I was trying so hard to work out what was going on in the story. So hard. I was like diagrams in my head. I'm just like doing equations in my head. I'm like trying to figure this out. I'm like, ooh, you know? And I didn't figure it out. Well, I kinda did. I kinda did. But not really. It was like a whole thing, okay? This is a great who done it, okay? This is great. It kept me on my toes. It kept me interested. It kept me intrigued. I was second guessing everything. I was second guessing who I trusted and who I didn't trust. I thought everyone was a suspect at some point or another. I didn't trust anybody. I loved it. The ending was wild. Wild. Oh my god, I didn't see it coming. It was amazing. I was just left with my jaw dropped to the floor like, oh my god, how did this happen? And I didn't notice it. Like, how did I not see this coming? And that's a great thriller in my opinion, and I had so much fun reading this. So much fun. It was so good. Next up we have Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This was also an arc through NetGalley, and oh my god, I love this one so much that I think I'm going to have to buy a physical copy of this one, because I was literally turning to my boyfriend basically screaming about these characters because I was getting so worked up. I was getting worked up, okay? I was getting so worked up. He's very used to me getting worked up and like yelling about characters I hate and freaking out, but I was literally interrupting him. He was playing on his Switch and I was turning to him and being like, you don't understand what's happening. And he was just like, okay, all right. And he's just letting me go off about this book, but I had so much fun with this one. Oh my god, I want a physical copy so bad. I want a physical copy so bad. Anyways, this is about Maddie, who lives with her abusive and way older husband, William. They live in the mountains. One day, when Maddie is outside, she sees a mutilated fox, and around the fox's dead body are these weird footprints made by something that she's never seen before. She knows that something unnatural is in the woods and something evil is out there. Soon, 3 strangers show up on the mountain, which is not going to make Mr. William happy. He is not a happy camper about that. Maddie soon realizes that she's going to have to not only stay safe from the monster lurking in the woods, but also the monster that she's living with. So first off, trigger warning, physical, mental, and emotional abuse are a very heavy theme throughout this story, so if that is a trigger for you, probably not something I would suggest picking up because it is a main theme of this one. So this was my first Christina Henry book. It won't be my last because I was so obsessed with this. This is not going to be for everyone, okay? Not everyone's going to love this. I already know that, but oh my god, it worked so well for me. This is a horror that shows the monsters, like creature feature type of monsters and human monsters. Human monsters are some of my favorite because, like I said, I like realistic horror, and human monsters are very, very real. I'm not always a big fan of creature features because I just don't find them to be that scary. However, I think this one was very well done. I did find myself very freaked out about this monster. I was worried about it and I thought it was very creepy, and I just thought it was a very well done I thought it was a very well done monster. From the moment this one started, I was hooked. My anxiety was up here. I was anxious. I was nervous. I was freaking out. I really liked Maddie as a main character. I found her to be very realistic, and I liked the way that she was depicted. I can't say if she actually is realistic because I have not gone through the things that she has. I have not suffered those things, so I cannot say if everyone will find her realistic. Just for me, I thought she was a pretty realistic character, but I can't speak for everyone on that kind of thing. William, he was my least favorite character in the entire world. I hated him. I wanted him to die as soon as I started the book, which says a lot about how much I didn't like him. When I want a character to die really, really badly, that's saying a lot, and I thought he was way worse than the monster in the woods. I honestly would have rather dealt with the monster in the woods than William because I just think He was a horrible person. I hated him. I did not care about him. I wanted to just deck him, you know? I just wanted to like pop, pop, you know? Hated him. Loved all the characters, loved the story, loved the ending. Mwah, beautiful. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I will be buying a physical copy, like I just said, because I love this. Next up is Whisper Down the Lane by Clay McLeod Chapman. I'm not going to talk too much about this one because I have a full review on this one as well. This is a great, great satanic panic story. Oh my god, I had so much fun with this. I loved every second of it. It was infuriating, but in the best possible way. I just couldn't believe that things were happening, but like I said in my video, these things did happen, so it left me flabbergasted, okay? I just was like, I don't understand how this stuff is happening. This is incredible to me. I was just so shocked the whole time and just being like, how is everyone letting this stuff happen? But satanic panic, you know, the 80s, what can you say? I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Check out my video if you want to know more. I'm trying not to talk too much about these ones, so I hope I'm not like rambling too long, sorry. But yeah, I loved this. So good. Amazing. The last book on our list is Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Manansala. I hope that's right. I got this in my book of the month box. This is a cozy mystery, and oh my god, I think I have found one of my new favorite genres. Cozy mysteries are something that I want to read so much more of now, and thankfully this is the first book in a series that is coming now. She's going to be making this into a series, which you best believe I will be reading the series because this was so flip-flapping good. This is by a Filipino author. These are Filipino characters. It talks about the culture. It talks about the food. Oh my god, the food. There are recipes in this book. Oh, I want to make them so freaking bad. The food sounded magnificent. I was always hungry while reading this book because I was just, they kept talking about food and I was just like, ugh, please give me some. I need some now. And then I saw the recipes in the back and I was like, did you just hear me? And now I'm going to make my boyfriend make them because I don't know how to cook very well, so I'm just gonna make him do it for me, and then I'll like bake him something, you know, like I'll give him something in return. I'll bake him like a cake or something. He'll love it. It's, yeah, it'll be fine. But this is about our main character, Leela. She moves back home to help her aunt in her restaurant, and also because she just had a rough breakup. And while she's working in her aunt's restaurant, a food critic is there, and the food critic actually happens to be one of Leela's ex-boyfriends, and he drops dead after eating some of their food and having an argument with Leela in the restaurant. And of course, the main suspect is Leela. So the rest of the book is her trying to prove her innocence and find out who actually killed him. And this was just so much fun. I loved every second of this. This was my very first cozy mystery, and it won't be my last because I just loved it. It was so much fun. It's very lighthearted, but also very thought-provoking, and just it touched on a lot of subjects that I really enjoyed. I highly recommend if you like things a little bit more lighthearted, but you still like a whodunit mystery and you like the thrill and the suspense, but just not as scary and horrifying as typical thrillers and horror. So I think this one is a lot of fun. So yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for my April wrap-up video. Those are all the books I read. I think it was a pretty good reading month. I had a lot of fun. I read some great ones. I read some okay average ones, but overall I think I think I did pretty good. Let's hope May is just as good. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you guys enjoy from me. That way I can keep providing you with that kind of content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, movies, makeup, horror, all kinds of things. I do a lot on this channel, so hopefully there's something for everyone. I hope you guys had a lot of fun listening to me ramble about these books. If not, I'm sorry. Let me know what your reading month was like. Did you get some good books in April? Was it kind of a slumpy month? Just let me know in the comments down below. With that being said, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week and even a more wonderful day. And I will see you guys on Friday for Book Review Friday. Bye.